Yodel Dodel, what's going on, everyone? How we doing? You got Rory here. He's ready to rock and roll.
Yes, sir.
What's
going on, Daniel?
Hello. Don't mind me right now. I'm letting everyone in because I, set up a Zoom the perfect way, which is to have to let every single person in one by one. Yeah, I'm a pro here, super pro. We got an exciting thing going on today. We're going to have a special guest from Inside Tracker, and Andy and I are going to talk about all things Inside Tracker. How's that sound? That sounds pretty good to me. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry, I'm doing 10 things at once as we're doing this. Hey, Angie Moorfield, how you doing? So nice to see you.
Hi.
I'm actually going to see you in a few days, aren't I?
Whoop.
It's amazing. We got AP Racing Camp coming up in a few days here. We're really excited. We've been doing a lot. Oh, Mr. Potts joined us. He's doing that low view because it helps with, the angle for it to slim him. It actually makes him look like he put on a little weight, which is nice for once.
I gotta say, there's someone here that appears to be on a plane, and I'm very impressed.
Oh, wow, Wendy.
How'd you know I was on a plane? You see it?
I can just tell it. Look, I can tell by the lighting above you. That's commitment.
Yeah,
Dedication.
we just landed.
That's dedication. So Andy's just coming back from training, so he'll be in the car for another minute. So I'm going to run point until he gets home. But Potts, you can answer a quick question for me, can't you? You're on mute, but that's cool.
Sorry, absolutely.
All right. So whether, in a sports realm with our camp coming up, we always talk about, it's what's inside that counts. It's your heart. It's your dedication. It's your drive. Or when you're in a relationship, you're like, oh, it's what's inside, not on the outside that counts. In those situations, especially the relationship one, we know that's baloney. But for athletics and training, it is what's inside that counts. And it's not just your heart. It's what's going on inside your body. So, Andy, what do you think about that? Do you think you started working with Inside Tracker, right? We've been testing out everything with them.
Yep.
Is it what's inside that counts?
Inevitably, I have a couple different theories on this one. Okay. So I've been thinking about two kind of ways to think of how to elicit improvement. And number one is, yes, I am driving without my hands. Number one is, I think ultimately what Inside Tracker offers, and we talk about this a lot with the team, specifically at camps when we talk about where we're riding, we do a map and we say, what's the most important thing on the map? And we get a myriad of answers, but ultimately it comes down to you. Where are you on the map? And that is where Inside Tracker has now offered us a map. It's a starting point. It's a template. So without the map, it's really hard to know which direction you need to go because you're just in like kind of bobbing in the water, just taking guesses. So Inside Tracker is now our map. And we can see things at the cellular level. And I have this other philosophy too, which to try to elicit improvement in wholesale betterment, I do believe that the human body is, it wants to choose the easiest path forward and is kind of lazy. So if we know our markers and we know where we stand and we know if we crunch some and we like in terms of we're going to work at a higher rate here, we're going to test your endurance there, we can kind of push the lazy out of the cell and see if that is the positive improvement that we're looking at. Because we always say we're an experiment of one, and no better way to track it and see where it is than with Inside Tracker.
Perfect. I like that. So couple things really quick, guys, as we go forward. First, if you have questions, we're going to get into it. Please either raise your hand or post up in the chat. We'll be monitoring that regularly. In addition, I guess we should take a step back for a second and talk about like Inside Tracker in general and why we went this way and why we started with Inside Tracker.
Yep.
You just looked right at me. Like that was freaky. It just freaked me out a little bit. Okay, sorry. So, like Andy said, we need a map to where we're going. And then further or corollary to that, for years, you guys have been talking to us about like a complete solution. We have everyone approach us. We want nutrition consulting. We want strength training. We want wellness. And we'd be able to touch on those different areas. But now we're able to actually offer it. And we worked with a lot of dietitians, nutritionists, a lot of different people. But at the end of the day, we found we needed the map. We needed to know where we wanted to go so we can get there and devise the plan. And that's how we came to be with Inside Tracker. And Andy's been using it a lot. So, Potts, here's a question for you. You've been going through this. You've been going through this process, and you're doing it for overall wellness and health, which is amazing. That's actually why I'm really interested in it, and for performance gains. What is one of the big aha moments you've had so far, or one of the things that have surprised you?
Yeah. So when I signed up, I ended up choosing, there's a couple different packages you can choose with Inside Tracker. And I did the ultimate inner age add-on as well. So the inner age, that tells me from a biological and cellular standpoint, am I older than my chronological age, or am I younger? What's my body telling me? I feel like I perform younger, but maybe my body isn't as young as I think it is. So I did the inner age and the ultimate. And the ultimate was really eye-opening. It had 43 biomarkers that we looked at and we tested. And I think what it came down to was, let's see if we can do that. I started looking at different components of, am I getting the right nutrients from my diet? And because it was a colorful map, it's actually pretty sleek the way it's done, and the recommendations, I thought I would be at the higher end on some of my markers and lower on others. And then my testosterone, I was actually kind of nervous about, because as an older male, I felt like, is my testosterone going down? And then my propensity to work a lot, am I overtraining, and are my cortisol levels really high? And so I would normally just guess, but now I have a baseline. What I'm really looking forward to is, yes, one was good because it shows me where I am, and it helps me with some indicators and some recommendations on how I can improve things that were flagged for me. I had two biomarkers that were flagged for me, and it helped me say, okay, I actually made 3 different changes in my nutrition and supplements to see if I can elicit a positive response. Because ultimately that's what it comes down to when we train, is we introduce a stimulus, and is it a positive response or a negative response? So with Inside Tracker, I changed a few diets and I added a supplement. Is that a positive thing or a negative thing? I have to get another blood draw I think ultimately I'm looking for 3 to start to notice any trends. But certainly with 1, you need a baseline, somewhere to start from, and then I'm going from there.
All right. So I'm going to actually kick it to Roy right now. And I got a question for you. So Roy's here from Inside Tracker. He's been helping us through figuring out how to work with our coaches on this. So all of our coaches are trained with Inside Tracker now too, and with his team as well. Let me ask you, when you work with elite athletes, age group athletes, what do you find, the process that Inside Tracker is honed that helps the most in terms of like improvements in life and wellness and performance for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, it's a few things. First of all, I think you and Andy have both touched on an important point, which is you can't optimize what you don't measure. You refer to it as the map. We refer to it sometimes as plugging your body into a computer. Your body's a machine. You got to plug it into a computer. You got to check what's working, what's not working. You have to know where you stand first, to inform how you eat and how you train. And if you're not doing that, then you're flying blind in a lot of ways and you're guessing. So I think it's really first just establishing that clear picture of what's happening inside your body. That's the most critical first step. And you'd be surprised at how many even like really elite athletes aren't doing that on a regular basis. And when they start doing it with Inside Tracker, they get a lot of benefits out of just knowing what's happening inside.
Yep.
So I think it starts there. But then it's not enough to just know what's happening inside. You also have to know what to do about it, but you have to know what to do about it in a way that's personalized for you. And I think everyone on this call is, I'm assuming, pretty active or wants to be. And when you get a blood test, typically, that's not looking at you through the lens of an active triathlete, let's say, or an active individual. The results that you get back are not personalized to you. And maybe most importantly, you're typically not given any recommendations around what to do next and through a performance and longevity lens. And that's really the extra step that the app takes that is filling a critical gap that's missing, which is, of course, none of us want to be sick, but how do we take it a step further? And rather than just trying to be not sick, how do we try to optimize our bodies from the inside out so that we can be, first of all, preventive and proactive about hopefully not getting sick in the first place, but also be the best version of ourselves and optimize our performance. And it doesn't have to be physical performance. It could be performance in any aspect of our life. And so that extra actionable insight is, I think, a really big missing link. That Inside Tracker fills that gap for a lot of people.
Agreed 100%. I think you said a couple things there are really important. And I'm going to kind of bring it back for a second. You said personalized recommendations, right? And personalized nutrition. Well, our nutrition sponsor, Infinite, plug, is personalized nutrition recommendations. But I was actually talking to the owner of Infinite about Inside Tracker this past week. And we haven't talked about this yet, Rory. But he was saying that with all the data that we collect from Inside Tracker, he can create custom drink mixes, custom nutrition plans for athletes with their products. He was talking about how different athletes respond to caffeine differently, and like slow metabolizers versus fast metabolizers. He was talking about like joint recovery, soft tissue recovery with different types of protein based on biomarkers too. So I think Infinite in itself takes us here. If we use Inside Tracker and Infinite together, we get to here. And it's the same thing for your training. I think what we do as coaches and programs is we get to you about here, which is really high on that ladder. But if we can combine that with things that we're learning that's happening inside your body, we go to there. So
yeah. And Daniel, one other thing to note, and I think this is really important, that just because you're fit doesn't mean you're healthy.
Ding, ding,
and ding. A lot of us are super active and really fit, but I know personally, I want to be more than that. I want to make sure that I'm also taking care of my body in a way that keeps it healthy and resilient for the long haul so that I can continue to do the things that I want to do for as long as I possibly can. And that's the other thing that I think is missing, maybe even especially with endurance athletes. Work so hard, train so hard, so type A and motivated, but sometimes health takes a back seat. And I think this is another tool that can be part of the equation to help it not take a back seat and make sure that you are staying healthy and resilient through all the training that you're doing.
Absolutely. And I was just looking through some of the people in the meeting right now, and there's one athlete we've been talking to a lot too about some bone density issues and some issues with injury. And I'm not saying this is the catch-all for something like that, but this could help spot those things and help us as we optimize your training and performance.
Yeah.
All right. So Rory, why don't you tell them real quick, or Andy, you could jump in, what the process really is for the average person that's going to get involved.
Yeah, well, what I want to do, and I'm happy to have Andy talk more about his experience if there's anything he'd like to share. I would like to go a little deeper with everyone here so that I want to take it a level deeper and tell you a little bit more about the product and actually show you the product as well.
Awesome.
So that this becomes practical, and I think that'll answer a lot of questions.
Yeah, Roy, can I share my screen here? I have my I'm okay with sharing my screen here. I actually don't know how to share a screen, so I'm just gonna flip my camera. I'm on my phone and I'm gonna flip to my tablet. I've never shared a screen and never started a Zoom meeting before. I always just get on, whatever. Anyway, so here we go.
Wait, be honest here. Your biological age is like 40, but your like mental old farty age is like 87.
Easily. I think you're underestimating.
Yeah, probably right.
All right, yeah, here we go.
So calculate that one. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so this is the inside tracker. This is what you would see when you jump online. And I have one marker I'll share with you guys. It's my vitamin B12. It's actually above. It's in the red zone. And these levels and the way it's organized, you can see here it says optimized. There's a lot of thought process that went into these bands and like the marker that we show. But the bigger part here that I wanted to share with you are the recommendations as you dive into it. So it's actually, it gives you different foods to choose from to help, in this case, I need to even out my B12. And then it also shows you the science. So you probably can't read it, but the way that it's designed, as you sort your results, so as I go through all of my results, as it's panned through, I get my healthy food groups for iron. And this is my iron group, and I'm actually really good here. I would like actually to see it higher just because of my running. And then you can see other things that are attributed to it. So it's actually really comprehensive. And beyond that, beyond the comprehensiveness, if that's a word, of the app or of the algorithm, I think is that how do we, once we test and we know where you are, how do we get you to then make the change? And I think that's the sticky point, and that's where Daniel and I come in from. Okay, now we have the measurement and we know where we need to go. We know where we are. We know where we want to go. How do we elicit a change to make it so you are improving your health? And I can't understate the fact that, we may think we are healthy because we're in good fitness shape, but that is, like, as you can see, like I have markers that are out of the realm, and I am fairly fitness wise. I feel like I'm in great shape, but after going through the process, I found out that there are things I need to work on through my diet, and I added a supplement as well. So Roey, can you go a little bit more in depth, or do you have questions for me on that?
No, I'd love to. I'd love to just build on what you just said. So what I'd like to do is I would actually like to share my screen.
Okay, you know how to do that. You're clever.
Daniel, I think you need to give me permission to do it before I can.
See how I do that.
And Daniel, Andy, thank you for sharing a couple of your markers. I'm going to show you my results tonight too. You're going to be, I don't know, the 3,000 people to see my result at this point. I don't know how many thousands of people have seen it because I typically do a lot of demos, but so I just ask that you don't judge me, please. But I'll show you a few of the things that I learned personally and the things that I'm working on. I'll also show you our mobile app so you can see exactly what, if you do decide to use this for yourself, what you're going to get.
Yeah. So as you work on the sharing the screen and having that ability, just in terms of logistics, when you walk through the app and you choose to get it, you will go to a Quest Diagnostics lab near you. If Quest isn't available to you, we can set up a mobile draw. And sometimes it depends on the test that you actually ask for, but you'll have anywhere between 4 and 6 vials of blood being extracted. Now, when I did it in the morning in a fasted state, and that actually helps. And I didn't train the day before, so hopefully that kind of evens out some of my numbers as well. But the big difference that I noticed was, or something major here, was the volume of blood that was extracted. As long as I stayed hydrated throughout the day, I had a normal functioning training day. It didn't affect me adversely in any shape or form. I actually went from my test to swim 5,000 yards. So I was good to go. So there's no fear there for you guys. And then the turnaround time, from the time I signed up, we created a lab, like lab paperwork and a QR code to take into Quest. And then that process took a couple of days because it's not an immediate thing. There is some delay because we have to order lab tests. And then once I went through that, had the lab test confirmed, took it to Quest. I want to say it was maybe 5 days later, my results were populated, and yeah. So Roey, are you able to get on?
I am.
Boom. Let's do it.
I'm going to do the slide portion really fast. So I think it's important to know that as a company, Insight Tracker is focused on health span and longevity. So sorry, let me go back here. So the mission of the company is to help people live a longer, healthier life. So of course, performance is something we're all chasing, but the company was built around this mission of health span and longevity. And that's really why I think it's a useful tool for people who care about more than just performance. And the reason that's the mission is because the company was actually founded by a scientist, not a business person. So this is a quote from our founder. His name is Dr. Gil Blander. He's a PhD, and he's one of the leading experts in the world of and field of aging longevity research. He started Insight Tracker in 2009 after spending the first part of his career in academia. So he was doing his postdoctorate fellowship at MIT. We're based as a company in Boston, Massachusetts. That's where we're headquartered. And MIT, Tufts, and Harvard's backyard, so some of the leading academic institutions in the world. So Gil was at one of the leading aging research labs in the world. It's called the Lenny Guarente Lab at MIT, with some of the thought leaders in the space like David Sinclair. And if you follow the space, you might be familiar with those names. If not, no worries. But long story short, Gil decided, hey, I could impact many more people if I actually built a product that could help people live a longer, healthier life instead of staying at a lab and publishing a paper that 1 or 2 scientists would read every year. So that was really the genesis of the company. Now, the app does 2 main things, and I'll show this to you when we get into the demo. But first of all, as you heard, it gives you a picture of what's happening inside your body. Now, that picture is based on a foundation of blood analysis. So it's looking at up to 43 blood biomarkers, and it's a pretty comprehensive list of markers. It's much more comprehensive than you would get at a traditional or routine annual physical. So of course, there's things like cholesterol and blood sugar and things that are connected to metabolic and overall health. But we're also looking at vitamin levels like vitamin D and B12, hormone levels like testosterone and cortisol, a full iron panel, which is critical for endurance athletes, liver enzymes, markers of inflammation. So it's a really broad look at your overall health, performance, recovery, endurance, status. There's also a questionnaire that you answer. So you tell it your age, your gender, your ethnicity, how active you are, how you're currently eating and supplementing. You can add DNA data on top if you want to. And then you can also connect a fitness tracker. So you can connect your Garmin or your Fitbit. We're working on an Apple Health integration now, and it's going to look at your heart rate, your sleep, your activity. And then what Insight Tracker is going to do is it's going to use all that data to give you a picture of what's happening inside, but then maybe more importantly, tell you what to do about it. And specifically, it's going to give you nutrition and lifestyle recommendations. So the way the process works, Andy just touched on it. It's really 4 main steps. So the first is you would pick a plan on our site, pick one of our products. There's a few main ways. The first is you pick a product that includes a blood test at a lab. So like Andy was just alluding to, you sign up online. Within a day or 2, you get a lab requisition. You print that. You go to one of Quest Diagnostics locations. They have thousands of them across the country. You show our lab rec. They draw your blood. It's about 5 vials. Within a week, your data's in your Insight Tracker account. You can also pay extra to have someone come to your house and draw your blood, which is pretty nice convenience. It's another $99. Or if you have existing test results, and I know there's a question here from someone, we can take existing blood test results. If you just went to your doctor, or you're able to get them from your doctor, you can upload existing blood test results. JB, I'll just hit that question now because it's important. No, we do not sell or give information to outside sources. We're fully HIPAA compliant. As you can imagine, this is a question we get all the time, and it's something we have to take incredibly seriously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business. We follow all HIPAA best practices and all security and privacy best practices, which means that all the data is encrypted, and we don't share it with any third parties. Now, you can share it with your coach if you want to, but you have to decide to do that actively.
Rowie, I also wanted to add on just one small thing there. We can't do anyone under 18 as well. If
Right.
you're thinking you wanted to extend this to some family members, some close friends, what have you, or their kids, we can't do anyone under 18.
Correct. Now, so yes, you can use existing labs. It just has to include the markers that are on our website. So we can't look at any markers that are not on that list. Now, the second step is it's going to give you some insights. So optimal ranges for every one of those markers plus an inner age if you add that. Then there's recommendations, we call that guidance, specifically nutrition and lifestyle. And then hopefully you make some behavior changes based on what you learn. And then the idea, as Andy said, is really to retest over time. One of the beautiful things about using blood markers is we don't have to rely just on subjective measures of whether we feel better or we have more energy. You can actually quantify whether you're improving or not, and you can do that over time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to jump over to my app. So give me a second to bring up.
So as you bring that up, I also wanted to talk about some old blood work that I had done. I kept all my blood work from my swimming days, and I noticed that the first blood work I had done was in 1993, and it was from the United States Olympic Committee, and we've charted it. So I pulled up all my old blood labs that I have in, of course, Daniel, they're in paper form. They're not computerized. They are, but I am planning actually to put them on my app, my Insight Tracker app, so I can compare my 40. No,
you can.
You can.
And
yeah. So I can compare my 16-year-old self to my 45-year-old self and see how interesting.
Periodicals.
Yeah, it will be next to my periodicals.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Check.
That's actually one of the cool things you can do when you sign up for the Ultimate package is you can upload all the historical test results that you've gotten throughout your life. So you can see how it's trended over the years.
Rory, I think my blood markers
highly
are off. I can't see you. You got real blurry. I think check my blood.
I don't know why my camera.
You're good now. You're good now.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see my phone?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. So, Andy, this is pretty cool, huh? That I can share my phone on a computer.
This is amazing. If I only had a computer I have a phone and an iPad. I actually don't really have a computer, so yeah.
Okay.
Use that.
All right. Yeah, so I'm mirroring my phone here. This is my Insight Tracker app. Now, at this point, what I'm going to walk you through basically is what happens after you get your results back. So we have the web app, which Andy was showing you on his iPad, and then you can also download on iOS or Android, our mobile app. And the first thing that happens is it's going to, first of all, you get an email that says, hey, your results and recommendations are ready, which is pretty exciting. And then you would log in and you would create what we call an action plan. Now, the first step of doing that is picking a goal. So you can see that there's, 10 or 15 that you can pick from. And the way that this works is depending on whichever goal you pick, Insight Tracker is then going to prioritize the blood biomarkers that are most correlated with achieving that goal. So you see if I pick heart health, it's going to prioritize blood lipids, inflammation markers, and resting heart rate. Looks like we got 10 minutes, so I'm going to fly through here.
Okay. If we need to jump back on, we can do that. I know everyone will.
So once I pick a goal, it's going to generate a plan. So what you see here is the goal that I picked, heart health. Then there's a timeline for retesting. We recommend 12 weeks between baseline and follow-up tests, but every 3 to 6 months is the general guideline. Then there's 39 recommended actions, so recommendations that the algorithm has generated, and it's automatically added 9 actions to my plan. So if I scroll down, you can see the actions that InsideTracker has automatically added to my action plan. So basically, these are the things it's telling me, hey, commit to doing this every week or every day for the next 3 months. Now I can edit this. So I can click edit plan, and then I'm gonna be able to scroll down and I can toggle some off or add some. So I'm just gonna quickly set my own plan. So I'm gonna keep ordering the takeout that I like, but I am gonna start taking an ALA. I'm gonna do a few more things here. I'm gonna take a whey protein supplement. I'm gonna start using a sauna. I'm gonna have 3 cups of coffee a day. I'm gonna eat an avocado a day. I'm gonna start eating oatmeal every day. That should be pretty good. Okay, so now let's go to my plan. So you just saw me pick some recommendations, and obviously you can take your time doing this yourself. Let's go into one of them. So ALA supplement, it should come up here in a second. Uh-oh. That wasn't good.
Live demos, always the best.
Yeah, exactly. I lost the connection, of course.
Rowie, while you're addressing that, hi, nice to meet you. I'm McKenna. I work on Rowie's team. Angie, to your question in the chat, yes, this was a big one for me. I'm allergic to dairy. So you can set dietary preferences so that, you know, if you don't want to get a recommendation that says, please drink, you know, a cup of whole milk every day, then you don't have to get that recommendation. So you can filter out according to your dietary preferences or allergies, etc.
Awesome.
Oh, I didn't buy you enough time, man. Sorry.
All right, it should work if I just give me another 10 seconds here.
Suspenseful.
It's not cooperating with me.
It's okay. Just do it with hand signals.
Yeah, maybe that'll work. Wait, where is it? Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pivot over to the web app. So I'll show you a little bit around there. But basically what you saw me create is a plan. So you would create that for yourself, and then for every recommendation, there's a lot of information behind it. So like for the ALA recommendation, that's a supplement, alpha lipoic acid. It would tell me exactly the dose to take, 600 milligrams a day. It would tell me for how long to do that and how frequently. So every day for 3 months. It would provide me with a reference link that shows me a study that supports that recommendation. So that's one of the things that makes the company honestly different, and what attracted me to even work for the company is that everything that is recommended is really science-based, and it's transparent about that. So I can click a reference link next to every recommendation, and I'll see a study, at least one, that supports that recommendation. So you can see my browser here, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my InsideTracker story. So Andy showed you his B12. For me, it's always been my cholesterol. Still working on it. That's what I meant when I said just because you're fit doesn't mean you're healthy. So here you can see my lipid group, and you can see the foods that InsideTracker is recommending to improve my lipids. My lipid group consists of my LDL, my HDL, my triglycerides, and my total cholesterol. And then it's telling me that my group as a whole is at risk. And it's saying that it's because my LDL is high and my HDL is low. Now, this is an important thing, that anytime there's a marker that's outside of normal, it's going to tell you to consult with a healthcare provider, a doctor, because InsideTracker is not in the business of treating or diagnosing disease. And we stay very, very consistent with what we're meant to do, which is around helping you optimize your health, wellness, and performance. So if there is something that requires medical attention, we flag that very clearly for you. And then there's a set of recommendations for every marker. So you already saw some of these. It's saying that I should take 1,000 milligrams of artichoke extract. Okay, that's interesting. I've never heard of that. But if I want to dive deeper, I can click a reference and then I can see at least one study. Like, why is it telling me to do that? So I think that's pretty cool. And then here's my, sorry for the phone in the background. Yes, I do have a house phone. So here's my LDL. As you can see, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster for me. I got tested 6 years ago, right before I joined Insight Tracker for the first time, and my LDL was 158. I was 26 years old. I was exercising 6 times a week. I was eating pretty healthy, but 158, that's pretty high. What I did is I started eating oats for breakfast every day for 3 months. That's one of the recommendations Insight Tracker gave me because they're super high in beta glucan. And then I retested in March. That's 3 months later. I dropped my cholesterol 41 points in 3 months. And then I brought it all the way down to 102 about a year and a half later. I didn't take a statin. Now, since then, it's not trending in the right direction. I went low carb for a while, tried to get a 6-pack, wasn't worth it. And then we locked down for COVID. I started eating super unhealthy, ordering Shake Shack and pasta and pizza. And I developed what I call fondly a craft beer hobby. So we got some delicious New England IPAs up in Boston, and I was probably having a few too many of those every week. But I put on 25 pounds because we were completely locked down in Boston. And then I tested again a few times. And then last year, here was the kicker. This was May of 2021. And if I can hover over it, 173, pretty damn high. So on the one hand, that was frustrating. On the other hand, I'm incredibly grateful that I have access to this information because I could just not know. I'm 32 now. It's not too late for me to improve it. And this was the kick in the ass that I needed to make a change. So 3 days after this, I signed up for a marathon. It's the first marathon I've ever run. I've always loved running, but I knew I needed to make a change, but seeing it like this made me take action. And I trained for that. I ran it on November 7th last year, so about 4 or 5 months ago. Then I tested again on November 10th, 3 days later. I dropped my cholesterol 28 points, which is pretty good. Turns out training for a marathon does improve your health if you do it right. I also lost 20 pounds, which was good because I wanted to. But then I took about a month off training, and then I tested again a few weeks ago, and unfortunately it popped right back up to 169. So a little bit of a roller coaster, but again, I'm keeping tabs on this. You saw the plan that I created in my app. I'm actually following that plan every single day. So I'm eating oatmeal for breakfast every day. I just started that ALA supplement, which I've never taken. I'm pretty optimistic that it'll help. I'm eating those really healthy fats, replacing some meat with fish. You can see that my HDL has slowly crept up over the years, and I want that trend to continue because that HDL is really important. So I'm eating a lot of salmon, eating that healthy fat like avocado, 2 tablespoons of olive oil every day. So I'm following my plan. I'm not where I want to be on the LDL, but I'm confident that I will get there. One other quick thing I want to show you that I have had success with. So actually, this is actually really interesting. So you can see my CRP after running a marathon. This is a marker of inflammation. Turns out 3 days after running a marathon, your body's pretty inflamed. Yes. I guess that's not surprising. But it does come back down, which is good. And then last thing I want to show you is my vitamin D. So I caught that right before it was going to be clinically deficient. I was just starting to train for the marathon. Being deficient in vitamin D puts you at a high risk for a whole bunch of issues, one of which is stress fractures because it plays a critical role in absorption of calcium. So I caught it at 31. It was about to be deficient. I've been supplementing the 2,500 I use every day since, and it's been in the optimal range. We got 30 seconds until it ends, but I don't know how you want to handle it, Daniel.
This is what we'll do. This has been really interesting so far. I think people want more. So I can't extend this one because I used the wrong Zoom account because I'm being super pro today. I'm just going to reopen this meeting in 2 seconds. It'll be the same exact thing. I'll be able to reopen it, I believe.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah. Awesome. You guys come back for more. Mute. People trying to keep me quiet. Silence me. Can't silence the man. All right. There were a few questions while we're waiting for everyone to come back in. One was, and I think you said this, how often you recommend to get blood drawn? So answer that one first, I guess.
Yeah, so general guidelines every 3 to 6 months. Now, this is one of the things that I think Daniel, Andy, your coaches can help you create, and we're going to work with them to make sure that we provide some guidelines for you based on your season. So I think for triathletes, you can create a testing roadmap that's really focused on checking in where it makes sense throughout your season. So general guideline could look like baseline test in the off season, then pre-goal race test, let's say 4 to 6 weeks out from your goal event, to make sure that you're looking good going into the goal race and see if you're overtrained. Maybe you can actually be aggressive going in and address any last minute deficiencies that you might have so that you show up for race day primed. Then post goal race is actually a pretty interesting one to look at. So you saw what happens to my body after a marathon. It's really interesting to see how your body looks after a really hard effort, and then to see how long it takes your body to recover back to baseline state after a hard effort so that you can jump back into training and not do it too soon. So post-goal race is a really good idea, and then at the end of the season. So that's like a general guideline for a testing roadmap, but it really depends on the individual, and every 3 to 6 months is what we would recommend.
Gotcha. And the next question, and I know the answers, but I'd like you to dive in a little further. Do you guys have anyone that people can talk to besides just getting the computer recommendations?
That's a great question. So first of all, if you're working with a coach at AP Racing, we're going to work with them to make sure that they can help address questions. If you need additional guidance, we do have dietitians on our staff. They're not available for consultations typically, but if you have questions, you can send them to us and we'll make sure that you get questions answered. And we have a network of dietitians that we work with that don't work for InsideTracker, but that are armed with InsideTracker as a tool. So if you ever want to speak with a dietitian, we can always help refer you to someone that can help you get some more guidance.
Yeah. And just again, to give you guys some background, we started off with this as a way to coach our coaches and as a plan to coach our coaches to help you guys. So that was step one. And then we were like, well, we should roll this out to all of you guys as well, because the more information we all have, the better we'll be. So it's a really good network between your coach, their network of dietitians, and everyone else for that matter.
Yeah. And the short answer to that question is we're going to be here to support you. Like if you have a question, we will make sure that you get it answered. We're not going to leave you hanging.
Cool. Did you want to show your screen again? I gave you access just in case.
I think what I could do, so I'm still not able to get my app to show up. I think I gave you all a pretty good flavor for the web app. The mobile app has a few other bells and whistles like that action plan. So you saw the blood work page on the web app that I just showed you. The mobile app basically translates all that information into an action plan. So you saw me pick my action plan. I would highly recommend that if you do it, you download the mobile app, you create an action plan, and it'll hold you accountable. So every day I'm checking in and saying, today I had my oatmeal and I took my ALA and so on and so forth. Other than that, I'm not sure there's much else for me to show, but I can answer any more questions. I guess the only other thing I'd say is you can connect a Garmin device or a Fitbit if you have it. I'm assuming most of you have Garmin. We're working on Apple right now. So at some point in the next few months, we'll be able to do an Apple Health integration. And the way that works is you just download the mobile app, you connect your device, and then it's going to look at your activity and sleep and heart rate data and give you recommendations based on that too. So I'm going to show you an example of that. We call them pro tips, and you get those like on a daily or weekly basis. So the other week I got a pro tip that said, hold on, I'm going to try to show you this. So it said, I just went for a run, and then I got a notification to my phone. We've calculated that your optimal post-run snack should contain about 15 grams of protein and 45 grams of carbs. Look no further than an edamame salad. So it gave me a recipe for a salad. And then I got a reference link. So basically it shot me a notification that said, hey, you just ran for 45 minutes. We know it was an easy run, but this is what we think you should eat as a kind of post-run meal. So we're able to give you, the app is able to give you real-time notifications that are right for you.
That's really cool. Angie, you look intrigued and confused. What's going on there? You got any questions for us?
I was actually just going to put in the chat. Thank you, Daniel, for observing. The information's incredible. Any chance you can break down the different plans and what exactly each plan provides us? Because I was looking at the website and trying to figure out what might be the best one for me.
Yeah. So if you can swing it, Ultimate's the best option. Let me just walk through the website. Ultimate's the most comprehensive option that we have. I highly recommend it if you can swing it, to do it at least for your baseline, because it's gonna give you the broadest look. So I'm gonna go here. So when you go to our store, if you go to our website, you'll see that there's kind of best sellers here. So Ultimate is the most popular one that we have. And if you go into each of the products, so the way that this works is the price that you see is per test. So let's say I did one now and then I want to do one again in 3 to 6 months. I would have to buy it again. But if you know you're going to do more than one, like you know you want to do a baseline now and a follow-up in 3 or 6 months, I highly encourage you to just buy 2 upfront, because you're going to get a better price than if you buy one now and buy another one later. Now, there's a list of markers. So this is the full list that's included in the Ultimate plan. When you buy the Ultimate plan, you're getting both a blood test at a Quest Diagnostics lab, plus access to the app that I just showed you. And that access to the app is lifetime. You never lose that access. So Ultimate is the most expensive, but it is the best option, especially for a baseline. We do also have this really cool feature that we just launched called Affirm. So you can pay for this over time at 0% interest. So there's no reason not to. So you could, let's say, get 2 Ultimates, and that would cover you for 6 months or 12 months, and you could pay monthly for that, and you don't pay anything extra to do that. So it's almost like a subscription. So that's the first option. The second option I would say is Essentials. So if you go to all of our products, Essentials is a really good option. It's under $200. So you see it's $189 per test. Same deal there. If you buy more than one, you get a better price. And then this is a really good option for endurance athletes because it's got, in particular, a few markers. So ferritin is a measure of iron storage. It's critical for endurance athletes. And then vitamin D is critical for endurance athletes as well. And then it's going to give you a look at kind of your overall health status as well. These markers are all good. So that's the second option. And then the third option, if you want to get a little more than Essentials, but you don't want to go all the way for Ultimate, is the Shalane Flanagan panel. So we did this in partnership with Shalane. She uses InsideTracker personally. We created a product and a panel that included the markers that she really likes to keep tabs on. So it doesn't have some of the metabolic markers like your cholesterol and your glucose. This is a really good one to do ongoing, like throughout your season, because it's really focused on markers that are going to impact your training. And it's cheaper than Ultimate. So these are markers that are really, really closely connected to recovery and overtraining and energy and inflammation. So I think this is a really good marker, a really good product to supplement. You could do like a bundle of an Ultimate at the beginning of the year, then maybe a couple Shalane panels in the middle of the year, and then an Ultimate at the end or something like that.
Maybe we could do something where we do a AP racing panel.
Yeah, good idea.
All right, you got 3 questions in the chat if you could see them.
Yeah, HSA, you can use it. Yeah.
That's a win right there.
Yeah, HSA, FSA, you can use it. Can you offer some examples of how InsideTracker addresses hormone deficiencies? So I can tell you the hormones that we measure, and the ones that are included in the Ultimate plan. Testosterone, free testosterone. For women, we're looking at a hormone called DHEAS. That's a hormone that we look at for women specifically because we try to do some of the female hormones that are they're more connected or fluctuate more with your cycle, And we try to enforce that, female customers test at the same time every month. And that was, as you can imagine, it didn't go so well. So we look at DHEAS because it doesn't fluctuate with your cycle. Cortisol is a stress hormone. Vitamin D is technically a hormone. So those are the main ones that we look on the hormone side. And then you're going to get nutrition and lifestyle recommendations to optimize those if they're not optimized. Does that answer your question? Great. And then Gustavo, are there any training peaks integration in the roadmap? I hope so. I'm trying to get in touch with them. I'm speaking with one of their co-founders, hopefully soon. We would love to integrate with them. So not right now, but I hope to make that happen in the future.
All right. So I got one announcement for everyone because someone just asked me it. As AP Racing athletes, you guys are going to get like the best deal in the world on this too. So that's always a plus. So that Affirm monthly pricing will go down. So we're going to send out all that information after our chat today. And they also have a promotion this month that we're going to jump on as well that will help us even more. It's actually in our partner. I believe some of the codes are in our partner matrix already, or our spreadsheet and Google Drive. So that's always a good thing. Yeah.
Agreed. If you didn't ask any questions, something comes up after, Daniel and Andy know how to get in touch with us. So we'll make sure you get them answered for you.
So just like in pop culture right now, they're answering the question, is love truly blind? We are answering the question, is what inside that counts. So it does matter. It is what counts. And there's a question. Get me off my tangent. Is there a way to plug in our training activities the day before to know how many calories to hit in the day?
We actually don't do calorie prescriptions or macronutrient prescriptions. It's not something that we're focused on.
So yeah, so this program is more set up to make you healthy, not as to lose weight, right? That's the way to look at it. And it's more on, but it will help you lose weight.
Yeah, we're not really focused. So I think calories are important to know. I think a lot of endurance athletes are actually under fueled. We see that all the time. That can show up in your blood.
Yeah.
Too. Your body will look like it's under recovered or overtrained if you're not fueling properly. But we're not looking at it through the lens of calorie prescriptions or macronutrient prescriptions.
Okay. Mr. Potts, any closing remarks?
No, as I look at my my calendar in terms of when I would want to be tested, I think there's a couple things here with Inside Tracker. Not only do you want a baseline established, if you have old tests to set up, if you have any, especially if you're regular with your blood testing, you kind of need 3 markers to establish a trend. I'm looking, as I look forward, I think I have 2 races coming up. I'm probably going to test right after a 70.3 race in Oceanside. And then that will help establish me, or so I can make any changes looking into a race or a first full weekend in May, which is an Ironman in St. George. So I'll test again after Oceanside to compare it to my baseline. And then I'll set up another one after St. George to see what kind of changes and what's actually happening to my body. I think this is something that we look at as athletes when we look at your racing. We say, hey, what is required to race well? You can also look at Inside Tracker in that regard in terms of a blood level and say, oh, what's being exacted from me on these performances, and how do I stay on top of it? What are the best courses to either stay on top of it or get back on it?
Okay, perfect. So guys, again, if you have any other questions, you can get in touch with Andy and I. I'm also going to put something up in our Facebook group to see if people wanted to post up more questions and get them answered. Maybe if there's more stuff coming up, we'll bring the Inside Tracker crew back out again. And I'm really excited for our coaches and all of you guys to be using this. It's really helped so far in what we're doing, and I love the integration that we're going to put together with Infinite as well. So Inside Tracker team, thank you very much. All of you guys that came out, thank you very much. If there's no other questions, that's a wrap. What do we say? Peace.